least, if not twice, to see what's happening around. All internet is fine, but within those things you don't really get that. And I happened to see to go to a maker fair. Make magazine is the if you are not familiar with Make magazine, you might know EFI, which used to be there earlier in 2022. So DIY, DIY, Make magazine is similar. And they do a maker fair where they bring about, as they call makers, people who assemble things, make things. It was a huge fair, and it was an amazing show because you could really see what's going to come in 3 years down the line in consumer market as you see it today. So you had 3D printers, you had drones, you had, of course, multiple wearable devices, you had robots, whatnot. And some of them were pretty crude, but many of them were very close to getting into consumer hands. And several of these things you might be able to see them in like 6 to 9 months time frame in your hands. And of course, you have heard about Google Glass and you have heard about 3D printers and what's going. So what we thought of, why don't we, get together a set of people who possibly may have interest in this and talk about it. So yes, Sanjiv is a tech entrepreneur, he's also an investor, he's in creating companies, technology companies, and he invests with mobile angels as well. So I hand it over to
full credit to you. I think first thing people would do is point fingers at someone else. Let me get a quick sense of the group here. How many of you here from the technology space, practitioners doing things? Okay, all right. And from industry segments in the sense of food and beverages, packaging, healthcare, anyone of that nature?
Healthcare.
Healthcare, okay, good, excellent. Sounds good. Little sense, maybe some of you, what space are you in? What space are you in?
Financial board game. For Chamakia separate.
Fantastic, fantastic.
To work in oil and gas.
Oh, great. That's a great space. I want to talk about that. It's a great space and what's happening there. Okay. Any other industries specific?
Mobile payments. So I'm interested about how the hardware and biometrics and stuff can be integrated into
Right. Okay. Well, we live in a fascinating world today. I think we're fortunate to be here at this time, that too in India. Generations down, they will remember us having witnessed the most incredible change that history has ever seen. A lot of the technology and adaptation of technology that we look at today, by design, we look at it from a very historic perspective. We look at how people have used things, and we think about how we can do something similar or replicate it. I'm sure you're all familiar with how quickly music got transformed and the hi-fi industry vanished, how the alarm clock industry changed and we all use mobile phones to wake up, etc., etc., etc. The application of some of these new technologies is extremely fascinating. So a couple of years ago, it's fascinating to know that the largest lock hardware company in the world, in Japan, was located. So Docomo expanded, they were the first ones to have the NFC and the conversion platform, etc. And were the first ones to actually start using the phone as your key for your lock in your home and wherever else you went. Incredible application of technology, incredible application of hardware, something as secure as a lock being opened and managed by your phone. So I think maybe it's even more than a credit card. It's something that you really lock and take away and you hold on to. Your whole life is in there. So that's an interesting example of the kind of trends that we have seen around us. With the advent of the open source and the Android platform, a whole new range of applications are coming up. Technology is no longer a limitation. So some of our companies and their clients, we meet them and they want to talk about what can we do? Can we do something like this? The answer is, of course, yes. It's the application of what we're trying to do with it is the key. The Android platform has opened up a tremendous amount of new opportunities. So I thought I'll talk about a couple of specific trends that I see happening and that are of great interest in the world today. I see them as big opportunities. And then we'll come in and talk about some of those. At any point, if you feel there's anything you want to add or ask, please feel free to do so. Nothing like your own personal experiences of what you have done with them or application of what you've done with them. The first one that I find incredibly fascinating is sensors and end-to-end. So if you look at the real world out there today, ability to take the sensor away beyond the air conditioner, which has a sensor in there right now, which is connected via a wire into the thermostat that will turn it on and off. Imagine taking that into an oil and gas space. Imagine having sensors for a walk back, be it an oil rig, or something simpler in the hospitality business. If you have different sensors that we see emerging, and we see huge applications. I've personally been involved in some of those projects where we've seen a tremendous amount of value from something like that happening. In the manufacturing process, and India still has a very large manufacturing base. If you look at wanting to debottleneck a process, or you want to capture the high temperature, high pressure processing in chemical or a food business, it becomes absolutely critical to capture that real-time data, to absolutely critical to capture deviations and throw various analytics on top of that. The opportunity from that data is also the ability to debottleneck. So you can debottleneck a lot of your production processes based on that, improving productivity, improving profitability. The second area which emerges out of the sensors has a direct impact, and it depends on how you apply yourselves in the areas that you're in or that you aspire to pursue, is environment related. Power and water are two of the biggest challenges that I think people in this room know more than people in most parts of the world. We know the place I live in, which is the extreme south of Bombay, I see in at least a couple of tankers come into the building every day. We're fortunate to have some power here, uninterrupted, but if you go a little further away from here, power interruption is a huge problem. The ability to use these sensors in a larger scale, which is smart grids, which is water management and all of that, to actually taking it to a smaller application is tremendous, tremendous. Time of the day, traffic, outside temperatures is significant. And if you add on top of that, most of you familiar with power factors, the PF power factors on your, so if you turn on all your air conditioning at the same time in a shopper stop, they're going to be slapped with a huge bill. And it doesn't happen in reality. The guy doesn't realize, comes in, turns on all the air conditioning in the morning. So you have 1,000 tons of air conditioning coming on at the same time. Not necessary, not important. If you had sensors, you program it, you provide it. Using your mobile devices, you can turn it on or off, and depending on the footfalls that are coming into the store, you can again regulate the temperature based on body heats, and therefore have enough compressors turn on. So it's a big opportunity that we're seeing in the environment space in particular, with power and with water both. So that's one trend that I wanted to talk about. Some of the other, something very simple. We talk about mobility and hardware, which are really two of the key areas of today's topic, is saying what's happening in the hardware space. My particular personal interest is more with mobiles, so a lot of my examples and the trends I map are based on mobility applications with those, is the point of sale hardware. So all of us go to McDonald's, for example, and you go stand in a queue, you see a large IBM machine that they use to take an order. It's a barrier between you and the cashier. It's a very expensive piece of hardware running a very simple process. If you go into Shopper Stop, the experience of actually buying something from the jewelry or the cosmetic store and getting a handwritten slip and then going and paying and then coming back and picking up your... All this is opening up a very big opportunity for how the cost is going to work and how it's working today. The ability to, and Apple was one of the first one of them. If you have been to an Apple store, they use a iTouch, the new iPod, which has a sleeve attached to it. It has a credit card swiping as well. It's connected to a local WLAN network, hitting to a Bluetooth printer under the table, and they have no cashiers. So if you know that's a great experience, the guy will walk around with you, he'll hold it, he will take the order, he'll swipe your credit card, and he'll generate the invoice for you and pay you can pay. We have a very interesting similar case here with McDonald's. If you go to the Crossroad McDonald's not so far away, or the Colaba McDonald's in Soon, Phoenix, and other places, you can actually walk in yourself, go to a little tablet, and choose what you want to buy, suggestive selling, pay yourself. So the payment gateway, there's lots of payment integration, interesting things happening there. You can pay yourself, get an SMS of what you paid for, walk up to the cashier, show him your order number, pick up your order and go. So the 22-second typical transactions come down to 4 seconds at the cashier level. And guess what? They've outsourced the hard work to the customers. So the customers are actually doing all the hard work and
enjoying it.
And enjoying it. And they love it because they get to really interface and take their time to choose. Studies show that body temperature goes up when you're standing to order because you don't know what to order. You're doing eeny, meeny, miny, mo. So this gives you the chance to do it. So that's, I think, POS is another retail in general, and within their POSes are another very large opportunity of what you can do, integrating them with RFIDs, integrating them with NFC. That's something which has been on the horizon for a long time. It's not a new technology. A lot of interesting things have been done. It is still waiting to really come to maturity. But there are a lot of applications around NFC, at least at the enterprise level, that you can build. At the consumer level, at the gas station, using the NFC to pay is still a distance away. But there's a lot that you can do around it in the back office space, in your inventory space. Inventory management and pilferage is a very large opportunity in retail, and retail is growing rapidly in India, so there's a lot that can be done in that space. That also directly connects with active and passive RFIDs. The active RFID is extremely expensive still to deploy on a large scale, but there's some very interesting variations that are now emerging and coming on top of that. So if you're looking at, I think the group is really largely of entrepreneurs and to-be entrepreneurs. So look at what's available out there. The simple, the Wi-Fi chip is down to 4 cents. So that's what it costs to really put a Wi-Fi chip in a mobile phone today. The NFC chip would cost, I reckon, nothing more than 30, 40 cents because it hasn't built up the scale yet. So you're looking at a lot of communication opportunities out there. You're looking at the ability to even develop a hardware where you can burn the Android OS. I'm not sure if you've seen something which is now commercially available. You can get a little dongle, even by Micromax, which is very interesting. For a few thousand rupees, you can connect it to your TV.
Yeah.
And that has the Android OS on it. You can stream multiple things. If you're in a retail store, you want to do a solution around there. You can create various streaming kind of applications, so on and so forth. So there's a lot in the retail space in general that you can do.
In fact, on this, I saw one device, simple Android tablet made in China. A few very interesting applications. So what they've done is that Android tablet in general aren't very easy to use for first-time users. So what they did was, for a single use case scenarios, whether it's for school or for hospitals, they said Android is baked, your application is baked, right? So when you open your tablet, you directly get into the application, you don't do anything else, you don't want to learn anything else, right? And applications are updated over the air. Now, if you can imagine the power of this, when you have a hospital application or a hospitality application or an educational application which is baked into hardware, right? You see the power of that, because then the learning becomes so much easier, the cost comes down cheaper, because then you can simply take commodity hardware tablet from China and bake whatever you want.
What do you mean by bake in this?
Bake as in it's pre-installed.
Right.
It's firmware actually.
It's pre-installed along with the firmware.
Okay.
Right. That's it.
So we've actually done something like that for McDonald's. We use something called the tablet ordering, which is a queue busting application, and retail in general has a lot of attrition. A lot of young people come in for a couple of months, move on. So you need to have a completely foolproof device. So this is the hardware, which is pre-installed, and there's nothing else you can do on that except for this. So it becomes a hardware-software combined appliance, and it even has the credit card thing built in. So the guy picks it up, and he's ready to go. So if you go to the Phoenix Mill, you'll see there's a charging station with about 10 of them over there, and they'll just pick that up and they're ready to go. So that's the kind of, same things happen to courier companies, logistics, they're using things like that, which are, they're given a 99 rupees prepaid GPRS connection on it, only to establish the pick up and drop. And he can't go surf the internet or download any music or nothing else, that's all he does on it.
Yeah, so earlier if you look at it, you know what FedEx guys used to carry expensive devices. I mean, any courier company today, if you could make a device which is as cheap as that, any courier company would love to buy that.
And from that, very interesting thing that also comes up, Jen, is that with the omnipresent network that's developing around us today, I'm sure everyone in this room has some form of 3G connectivity or 2G connectivity, GPRS, Edge. We are all connected. with the 4G and LTE, let's see which way that really finally pans out. Reliance LTE is very much on its way. You're going to look at an extremely low-cost WBA wireless broadband access network across pan-India. It's going to be one of the most advanced networks. For those of you who may know that Indian telecom network is already amongst the most advanced networks in the world. Our exchanges in the villages, when it comes to the PSTN landlines, fixed line, comes to cell sites, are amongst the most advanced ones. With the advent of WBA, LTE, 4G, we're going to see a lot more happening there, which will open up a lot of other opportunities for you to leverage that network, leverage that omnipresent network, and have other things right on that, whether they're courier based solutions, whether they are media capturing and media dissemination solutions, whether they're content and rural applications. Bottom of the pyramid has the largest opportunity. But you know, the attraction of the glamour on top is very limited. The bottom, when it comes to regional languages, when it comes to the simple, rudimentary farm applications, tremendous opportunity. So the network will change that. So I just wanted to add that on the network side. So moving on, there's been a lot of talk about 3D printers. I'm sure here everybody here is familiar with 3D printers and perhaps seeing something on YouTube of a piece of jewelry being made on 3D printers. I've actually been to factories where they make jewelry on 3D printers. The interesting thing now is that 3D printers are moving away from sampling platforms, which is what they originally intentionally started out to be. It was very expensive to develop a mold in case of jewelry, if you know the process, or in case of an engineering aerospace part. Very expensive to develop a mold and then to build it, or even straight take it to a CNC machine. The time of CNC and the sampling cost is very high. The interesting thing is that GE recently announced that for its aerospace, is going to be producing some parts for an engine, 25,000 of them this year, using 3D printers, because they realize that there are multiple metals that they'd like to be able to use, and the way that they'd like to produce it is far more efficient to do it on 3D printers, and much lesser waste. So the total cost of production is much lower on 3D printers. There's all kinds of things being made out there right now on that, right from cookies of cars. Cookie? I didn't know that, okay. All right. So there are cars out there actually you can drive in printed on 3D printers. And there's a whole lot of stuff out there. So I think that's again an interesting trend. How you can apply it, I really don't know. You'll have to think. They are expensive technology still. It's not out there for the masses. If you could think of applications, I think there's enough 3D printer capacity that will be available in the 12 months. If you start thinking today, by the time your business idea is ready, I can assure you there's going to be a significant amount of capacity available. So don't worry from that point of view.
So a friend of mine bought a 3D printer for just commercially available consumer 3D printer, as they call it, $50,000.
What's the number? What's the number?
$3,000. Which prints dual color. Right now prints only plastic. Yeah. And it could print the most complex shapes. But what I got to see was at least 20 different varieties of 3D printers at the Maker Fair. And some of the 3D printers could actually take liquid metal, right, and then do multiple metals together,
Yeah.
which is difficult even in traditional manufacturing processes, right? And that's only because the way it is designed. It's designed very simply, like you make a mold, it's designed like that. But the way it is designed, it works so very efficiently. And because you print things as and when you need it and where you need it, and it's not heavy stuff, it's so much cheaper and easier to produce. So there are a whole lot of possibilities which are there around 3D printers. People are still trying to figure it out what to do with them. But the fact remains that it's going to change our lives very, very soon in the next 12 to 18 months time we'll see.
Tom Cruise was amongst the first one to figure that out.
Yeah.
Mission Impossible, when
Yes.
he printed those faces.
Do you see consumer flavor coming into this some point in time? And if so, what? If you just have to sort of fast forward and look maybe 12, 18, 24 months ahead of the day.
It's happening today. So there are platforms where you can design products with toys and things like that, and encourage kids to be more creative, and not only kids, adults, to design different things, and send it to companies that will print it for you and send it back to you. So there is that opportunity out there to enable the consumers to do what they want.
Even a year was printed actually, that had come, that person had damaged this year. So the other year was scanned and it was 3D printed by a bioprinting, same 3D printer, that is bioprinting is done. And the year was printed and it was put there.
Yeah, so I actually got to see a printer in Singularity University during this trip, which could print body parts.
Yeah.
Right? It's completely out of the science fiction, but it's possible today. It's very experimental today. It's not mainstream, but I'm sure if it can be done today in a lab, I'm sure a couple of years down the line it will be there in the market.
So it can print only in plastic, not really
No.
things which can have blood and
No, it can actually print using body cells.
Yeah, tissues and all,
Tissues,
bioprinting and all.
So, I mean, it is really, really science fiction stuff, but it is possible today.
For material.
Yeah.
Quite expensive.
So, the starting point would be like you start printing chicken nuggets at McDonald's and that. Begin with before they
Yeah,
start
so-
making ornaments.
I don't know which one will come first.
the microwave is gone for a toss. All the kitchen is gone for a toss.
Well,
In fact, plastic gun
how
was
does it-
printed, which we actually operated, and a bullet was fired from that. That was fully printed, fully a gun, fully of plastic, and it was triggered, and all was could fire. They recently banned that.
How does 3D printing achieve economies of scale? You need to have a much bigger factory like printer then?
No, it's a small.
So actually no. With my limited understanding, what I can say is that what it does is that it cuts down the large manufacturing processes into a much smaller computer-operated bit, right? Where the limitation today is number of materials, the kind of materials it can print, number of materials it can print together, and the size of material that can print together. Because what it basically is an additive process, right? It just looking at whatever you have fed in the design, it keeps putting layer on one top of another. It's an additive process. Unlike the CNC, which is a deductive process, right? It scrapes things out and then gives you something. It keeps adding layers one top of another. It's almost like visualized like a Lego blocks, right? It's just computer operated, and hence you can do that much more effectively. May not be as quickly, may not be mass volume. So what it's going to really do possibly is going to disrupt the manufacturing by making it centralized and make it decentralized possible.
Yeah.
So you'll have smaller facilities which will be spread all across. You could choose a design which will get printed somewhere in Mumbai instead of getting printed somewhere possibly in Nasik or Nagpur.
So it depends on the type of product, really. And
Yeah.
it depends on the volumes of those products. And obviously not everything is going to be cheaper to build on 3D printers. So GE will choose the product which is most complicated and perhaps will have higher time and cost to build it. Imagine trying to CNC a part like that. It takes a lot of materials and wastage in the CNC time that it will take to build it, or have multiple metals. It's much quicker to build it like this. But they wouldn't really build the blade of the 747 engine on it, right? So that it'll be easier to mold it. So I think another area really is healthcare. There's a couple of very interesting trends that are emerging over there. A very simple one is in Mumbai. My wife went to a dermatologist and she had an iPhone with a magnifier on that, with an attachment where she could actually run on the skin, get all kinds of readings, and record all of that and go straight into her database in terms of whatever she's looked at. A very simple application, but incredibly useful. Imagine the use of that to a doctor, to be able to see it in that great detail, to be able to record it, to be able to compare the progress on that, and run some analysis right there and there itself. You move on to that with distance healthcare, remote healthcare, again a very, very large opportunity. Doctors to be able to connect multiple devices to their simple smartphones. Today you have devices that will do your blood pressure, that will do your sugar in your blood, that will do cardio, just a small little mobile device that you attach to an iPhone for your cardio. So all kinds of things are available today, and that's really changing what not too far back costed a crore rupees perhaps to build and put, is coming down to that kind of level. To information dissemination, we actually have one of our companies as a healthcare project for a large chain of hospitals where doctors, when they're on their rounds, need to be able to pull radiology information on the fly. So usually they're waiting at the patient's room, waiting for the information to come, and sometimes decisions are delayed. Here he has immediate information right there, tags it on that, what he needs to, what his comments are, or what he needs to work upon, done, over and over with. So again, very interesting things coming up there. With HSEQ, which is Health, Safety, Environment, Quality, again, a lot of applications around there coming up that help you monitor the key elements of any complex, more so healthcare, to ensure that your OT conditions are well maintained in terms of the dust and air particle in the air, the water quality, the water pressure, things like that are all there so that nothing fails when you're there actually and have a human body that's open. You cannot risk that. So that's a very big area that's coming up again.
The healthcare again, two specific devices which I think are going to make a very big impact, which I got to see personally. There's an attachment for an iPhone, which a fellow from my media lab they have used, which can detect various eye diseases, including cataract. So the cataract becomes much easier, and it's almost as good as, not 100% as good as a doctor would see, but it could be operated by a minimally trained person, which basically means that you can actually give it to people in rural areas who are minimally trained, which could, all you need to do is look into that device which is attached to an iPhone, and it's just the information, which all the reading, and someone's sitting there centrally, some doctor could analyze and say, yes, I think it's a fit case for operation or cataract is developing, whatever. You can imagine it can prevent a lot of blindness in places like India, the cataract is a huge problem. Second was even more interesting is a sensor which is attached to an iPhone which can take your ECG. So you can imagine ECG which costs so much of I don't know how many hundreds of dollars or something. And over here it's a $100 device where the prices will come down further when it gets to commercial manufacturing. It can take ECG. So it's going to be as common as the blood sugar devices which you can today buy. So ECG is going to be as common as that. you can look at the opportunity of now taking the data, sending it to the doctor, right? The doctor could respond to that without you having to go and visit the doctor.
And in aging societies like the U.S., a lot of people live in old people homes or in townships. Healthcare is extremely expensive, especially to have nurses to make sure that you're looked after. There's a lot of technology and hardware that's developed around there. It's becoming almost mainstream, where they're supplied with bottles with RFID tags on them, and as they take their medicine, it gets deducted from there, and it gets reordered as you finish. So it has a little chip built on it, and they're using a GPRS backhaul on that from these bottles to actually help these people subscribe to a plan so that they're taking their medicines on time. If they haven't, it escalates to 2-3 levels up, eventually to son, daughter, whoever, saying that, hey, so-and-so hasn't taken their medicine, maybe something is wrong, maybe you need to check up and do things. So incredible amount of things around the healthcare, especially as in the West, you have an aging population and you have healthcare costs and all the governmental challenges. There's a lot that's possible and a lot of opportunity around healthcare. In India, we have a lot of talent in the healthcare. So if that's an area that you want to explore, it's worth looking at for you as well. Anything you want to add there? I think fitness is another area that you and I were talking about. I think there's a lot at the consumer level. So if you go into the last, perhaps, that mentioned trend, which is at the consumer level, there's a lot there with healthcare. There's a lot with your exercise routines, your tracks, your calories, nutrition management, diabetes. There was a company we were looking at investing in Mumbai Angels a while ago that had a whole diabetic system on the mobile that would remind you on your nutrition, and that you could enter and it will tell you what to eat, what not to eat when you wanted to. Those are things which are emerging. I think there's a lot of talk around Google Glasses and what's happening with using pretty simple technology actually. One can elaborate on that pretty simply. Do you have an example? You want to tell them about the retail, the real estate?
The real estate. So if you look at it, you got real estate portals which will tell you what are the property prices. If you're looking to buy a house, or rent a house, it will tell you where what is available. There's a real estate company which has already started developing this application for Google Glass. So Google Glass is just like any other hardware platform, you can develop applications for them. And if you're wearing Google Glass and you just look around and you think this flat is available for sale, so many $1,000. This is available for rent for so many $1,000 per month. Right? You don't have to really even look at your phone and say, okay, what is available nearby. Right? All you need to do is look around. It's a very simple technology and very simple application of that technology. If you look at it, you now think of it. Right? There are what all could really come in. The fact is that Google Glass is here to stay. I mean, come what may, whatever people will say, it will go through various iterations. A lot of privacy and security issues will get addressed, but it will be here. Think about what kind of application you can build on Google Glasses.
What is the cost? Concern about Google's Glass becoming mainstream, the cost of the Google Glass is prohibitively expensive and the probability of it coming down as it will become mainstream.
There are a lot of concerns around that, plus security, plus recording, and all of those kind of things. I mean, the fact remains is that it's a powerful new tool. It's how you use it, what's the application of it. So maybe it's going to be, A, the cost will come down with scale. B is, if you have applications for it, a couple of $100 here and there wouldn't make sense. So you got to think of the use case. That's going to be significant. To play around, it may be too expensive. That's not to begin with, at least.
So
So what does the device do? Does that create some kind of a virtual image in front of you, or is it a plain glass which one could see through? Because there are these devices, what you can call them as wearable projectors. You just wear them, you have a remote to handle them around. Okay, it would look like ugly piece of dark glasses when you wear. When you look at them, and people would look weird on wearing them, but what it does is it sort of creates a virtual image of 80 inches diagonal image, and it's an Android device. I just use my remote to play around and click application, then I watch videos, I watch YouTube, whatever. Is it something like that, or any?
Not really. So Google Glasses are like your normal glasses, but it has built-in purpose, which can project things on your glass. You can see it, and plus there's something projected on there. So you are walking towards someone, so it captures the image. There's a small camera that it captures the image in front of you. Constantly keeps capturing that. So if I'm walking towards you, it would tell me, or the text which I can see.
On a Facebook kind of
yeah, so he says, okay, he is so and so. This is the time.
If you've seen Ghost Protocol, I think it's Ghost Protocol movie. I think in that it's predominantly shown.
The prototype for this was developed at MIT Media Labs way back in 2008 something.
Yeah.
So they're pretty good, and there's some very funny videos also on YouTube, on Google Glass. Yeah. You can spend hours trying to look at some of those funny ones as well.
So it's basically a platform that you can also develop a lot of other applications on.
Yeah.
And as it becomes available, and I think that really is the purpose of the conversation that we're having today, is the ability to find a application or a platform and see what you can do with it. Technology is no longer a limiting factor for anything. The ability for you to use that and make something out of it. One of my favorite examples, has anybody here heard of Nano Ganesh? Interesting, fascinating, actually, human being out of Amravati or someplace like that. He developed a little product that he's selling with 1,500 rupee or 1,000 rupee mobile phone that you put at with your water pump. Those of you who have a sense of rural India, if you have to turn on your pump on what time the irrigation is going to give you water, you don't know. Usually it's at night. You have to walk halfway across your fields, which could be a long distance, to turn on and turn off the pump. You could be in the market when there's water. So this allows you to actually call in a number and check if the pump is on or off. You can turn it on, turn it off. You can manage it remotely. It's a 1,500 rupee device connected to a 1,500 rupee phone. It's what you can do with it. So a lot of this is about applications and your ability to use these kind of things that are available. People are developing incredible applications to put little tags on your keychains. How many of you are looking for keychains? I'm half the time looking for my keychain. I have no idea where it is. So this helps you identify where your keychain is, to what, little app, hit it, start beeping, start pointing you which way to go. Works on the Wi-Fi network at home. Works with it, no problem. You can connect it to a GPRS, connect it to whatever. If anybody has heard of Zipcar here, incredible platform, key delivered on the app, open the car, use it, leave it, simple application used. They found a way to use it. Mercedes has been using this for 12 years, 11 years now, that if your car gets locked, you call the helpline and they'll unlock your car remotely, etc. They took it one step further, built a lot of stuff around it, simply allowing you to use your car in and out as you're using it. So a lot of opportunities around what you can do with. I'm sure most of you or some of you are waiting for your Pebble watch. Maybe knows Pebble watch, right? No? Okay, so this is, go online, check it out. It's the biggest craze, 6-month wait. I'm dying for mine. Trying to make some rules to find myself one. It's a little watch that you wear, connects to your iPhone, and you can basically, we'll become lazy. We want everything on our phone, but we don't want to take it out of our pocket now. Right? So you want to see, okay, what mails have arrived. You want to see whose number, who do you want to dial. You got a Bluetooth in your head, or you got a headphone, gives you full operations. Could be a huge game changer. Could be a huge game changer. So those are the kind of things which are really, really out there. So I can go on and on with some of these things which I'm quite passionate about. But I think in terms of the key trends, the 5-6 trends that I wanted to share with you, this is pretty much it. If anybody wants to talk about domain of any particular oil and gas or healthcare or anything else, happy to detail, happy to get into it.
Yeah, so I think pretty much this in terms of, I mean, of course, there are quite a few other things which are there. I'm not sure how many of you are interested in robotics and drones. Robotics and drones, these are two areas which are again hugely big leap they're taking off late. Robotics have come out of, and they're being mainstream now. And there are a lot of applications which you can actually write for robotics today. Drones, there are drones which can actually fly 400 feet above ground, right? Which is right now non-regulated airspace, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. There's a gentleman in US, and he has a company which is only using drones for logistics, point-to-point logistics. So he's already, and I met this gentleman at one of the Thai conferences, and he was talking about delivering medicine in remote areas in Africa. That's where he started off with, which would at regular intervals it will pick up from base station, it will pick up medicines, deliver it at the village, charge itself, fly back with whatever it has to from there and come back. So yeah, so I'm not sure that visa will get delivered, but I'm sure there are a lot of other things which will happen. So now he's talking about using the same technology for manufacturing facilities, right? Where certain parts which are being manufactured in one area could actually be picked up and delivered in another area. So it just becomes two different facilities become just one large assembly line. So once something is manufactured here, it will automatically get shipped to another factory and gets into the assembly line. There are a lot of things which are happening on that area as well. All of these, not necessarily that we got to look at it developing devices, but most of them will turn out to be very good platform. And like you were saying, I think it's all about how you use them. An application is what is really critical. Like I said, I think retail is a key area where healthcare is an area which I guess there's a lot of opportunity for these devices and applications around.
Environment is my favorite. Very. Sorry?
Security surveillance.
Very big. Very big opportunity. If you look at hardware and software in terms of camera, face recognition, blacklist, whitelist, there's a lot that is happening in India today. So you have a lot of surveillance all across the city without even realizing it. And some of the large complexes, like the Bharatnam and Bursa, PKC and stuff, are very, very secure, and you're able to recognize faces and cut them off and all kinds of stuff. And surveillance, perimeter, any perimeter breach, all kinds of things.
For anyone is interested, a friend of mine has just bought in a drone-mounted surveillance camera.
Oh, really?
With like a 3 idiots. There you have something.
I'm interested. I want to know more about that.
So a friend of mine just got it from just 2 days back. I've not seen it myself. I would go and take a look at that myself. But just imagine the capability, right? In a large manufacturing environment, you need monitoring, right? It does that on a high security area. Just put in a drone mounted security cameras, which will keep what is happening where, and if you send something there, send a drone there if you want to.
there are in fact three IITs. They just secured a round of their first round of funding. They're doing the same surveillance cameras, drones, they have night vision cameras and cameras which can capture information at various levels, and they're just doing their rounds of demonstration with defense. They're pretty optimistic about the whole thing.
What was the name of this company?
I wouldn't. I mean, you would look them up. You could look them up. I mean, they have few videos go around YouTube. But
As far as I knew, until a few years ago, India did not have any night vision manufacturers, right? It was all imported from Israel or some other allied nation. So how are they
components
getting
could still be imported. See how you conceptualize the whole thing and package it and sort of present. I mean, it wouldn't essentially mean that they're sort of putting it up together right from the camera level. You could probably bring
Yes,
up.
actually, if you look at it,
these
even
things
today,
in bits and
even whatever
pieces.
is being manufactured in US, the components are hardly there from US.
Sure.
Right? So it's not about where it's being manufactured. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's available. So whatever component you want, it's actually available today in India. There will be some supplier which can actually give you those components.
What is the perspective for distribution or the hardware, or it is also good for manufacturing in India?
Well, it depends on what you're talking about, and what is the vertical and what is the product. There's an opportunity across the board. This is
How is the saving cost of, because anything,
what product are you talking about?
any IT product, example, if I am taking about my case, we are into the voice over IP business, so IP phones and we are launching the security voice over IP cameras and RF products with it. So we are previously we planned to manufacture in India, but after that we go into the service business and then not focusing on hardware part. But now still now 4G coming, so we are considering that whether we start again manufacturing, and we know the resources of the chips there, so we can start again. So I don't know how is the ecosystem in India, they support the manufacturing or either we focus on distributing, either we importing from the South Korea or Japan, where we know the people who outsource the material on wide levels.
I think it depends on the product that you're talking about. It depends on the scale that you're talking about. There is a case for iPhone being manufactured in the US, in China, and now the new Mac being manufactured in the US.
What
It's a
people
case for
thinking
everything.
about it, like something you make is made in India, and what people make impress, some product is available which is made in China or something made in Korea or something. So what is
When
people
it comes
think
to
about?
technology, I don't think that's such a big problem. You've got to have a good, strong use case. There are some good success stories out there of technology products produced in India. I don't think we should be shy about that anymore. We should be very confident about the value proposition of what you have. India will always be a strong manufacturing base. We have more and more people that we have to provide jobs for in the next 5 years. If we don't, we really are, that's that creek. So,
As you already got so many distributed products, so that is it also cost effective? Something when is a large scale opportunity is there?
I think it again depends on the product. Okay. There's no general generic answer from my point of view.
Yeah, so I think in my limited experience, again, what I can say is that what I figured out, you start by importing stuff, and once the scale is achieved, then you start manufacturing it here. Because there's no point setting up the entire manufacturing facility here till the time the market acceptance and the volume is reached, right? So I think, and the fact is that today you have factories in China which can use stuff at a much cheaper cost, at a not so large volume as that, right? Because they're doing it for a lot of other people, right? So you could actually start by importing stuff. And as I said, I think it's not so much about the hardware. It's about what you put this to use, right? How you price it or how you sell it is what really matters. I mean, today in India, no one really bothers about, no one really looks at it as whether to manufacture in India or Korea or China. I mean, half the time, even if it is India, people will think, oh, China may go till the time they actually look at it.
Look at the Micromaxes of the world and stuff. It's tremendous.
So, just from the trend perspective, we believe in last 30-40 years we had a trend of one large company building one legacy product and it is going to sell for years and they'll become the giants. But nowadays all these technology companies are coming up. The cycle of business or cycle of particular product is shrink. See, today we are talking about Nokia. We were thinking a couple of years back Nokia will be there for years. Now it's Samsung. Now small players, Micromax, Carbon and all these guys are coming on. So similarly for SMSs, WhatsApp has come, WeChat and all that things are coming. So do you think that these kind of things which are happening so fast that sustaining those innovations or what you are doing, actually it is very difficult because you are going to put your heart, soul, mind, everything for building this particular thing, and you don't know what that lifespan would be of a particular product or service. So is something what we can do, something which creates a sustainable thing, because yes, continuous innovation is the funda, but is something which can find answer to this.
Two-part question, very good question. You answered it yourself. Yes, it's the short cycles. Business plans are, in my lifetime, I've seen business plans being made for 15 years come down to really 24 months at the very most. I don't think I've seen a business plan beyond 36 months in a long time. That's an exception. When I started off, we had to make 15-year business plans. It doesn't exist anymore. So yeah, the cycles are shorter. There is a management theory on built to last. If you look at Nokia itself, it's been quite an amazing story. Let's see how it pans out from being a lumber company to what they are today. The focus has to be, I think, on what is the business that you're in. Companies like Coke, Pepsi themselves have gone through this major kind of questioning on what business they're in. They eventually came down to saying we're in the business of a percentage of the stomach, and whatever, if it's a cola or it's food or it's water, we want a percentage of it. But it depends on how you look at your business, how you look at your company. Also, honestly, don't worry too much. Worry about what you're doing. Look at the business plan of that. Find credibility in that. Make that happen. By the time that trend changes, you would have learned something and come up with the next trend as well. So don't worry too much about it. But yes, it's a reality. That's my view.
Yeah, and I think one more important part is that's one of the reasons why you got to catch trends early. Right? Because the business cycles have come down, it's not wise thing to wait for the trend to become mainstream and then you start working on it, because by the time you come up with something, I think the trends all start going down. Right? And which is why it's very important to watch, catch trends early and do something. It's risky, but I think the rewards are much higher and you get longer window of opportunity. And like he said, by the time the trends start withering away, I'm sure you would figure out where to take it next. There are very few companies which have gone out of business, and they've gone out of business because stopped innovating. But most of them have gone into the next level. Like I said, Coke, it used to be beverages company, right? They're not beverages company anymore. They do just about everything, eat, drink, whatever, and they will do service. So you figure out what's the next trend to catch. And
there have been some tricky areas on the flip side. I mean, you look at RFID, we've been talking about it. 13, 14 years, we talked about, we heard about these smart cards of Walmart where just walking through and it tells you pick this milk, you pick it, automatic refills, etc. But people invested and they still stay invested.
I mean, I myself,
where you like watch, think twice before you touch.
Yeah, so I myself invested quite a bit of time and money in building RFID product 12 years back. There were no takers in India. I was in a wrong market. I learned, but my losses went to something else. So that risk always remains. Right? What are the dangers in
So all that is logistics is a huge area. I think the third one really would be a joker that you need to pick, which is definitely not retail, definitely not hospitality. Both don't have the monies. They have very different perceptions. Healthcare, too much talk. Look at farming, look at agriculture, look at something different, look at some aspect of education, look at some aspect of skill development, look at some aspect which is not there because everybody else is looking at those.
Yeah. So my view, from based on again investors and the entrepreneurs that I meet and I talk to, energy definitely is a huge challenge and opportunity. And there are a lot of stuff which is being done in the area of energy, just as it's long gestation period. You got a lot of patience. Not too much of investment will come right away into that, but if you stay along, it will pay dividends. Skill development is going to be huge for places like India. Again, the skill development, a lot of work which is being done, brick and mortar work, which is not very scalable, and a largely it is government supported, which according to me is not worthwhile model, because again, you will have few new scams which will come up, and I'm sure there is a lot of opportunity which is there in that. And third, like very strangely we said agriculture. Not many people talk about agriculture, but still in India, a big problem which remains is really agriculture, because large part of India is still dependent on agriculture, and there's a lot of work which is still need to be done. And you will be happy to know that there are quite a few people who are working on it in agriculture domain. They're working on irrigation domain. So irrigation is the biggest problem which India faces in terms of agriculture. And there are new technologies which are being developed, and not just in lab, but they're out there. And
Yeah, ITC is quite
there are a lot of smaller entrepreneurs that are coming up with newer technologies.
Also, the children of farmers, they're getting into education, so that agriculture output requirement is going to be the same, but the hands working on that same output is lesser. So that automation and higher usage of technology would be required more in the sector.
Just that it has to be, technologies have to be for India, designed for India, low cost. It can't be very high cost technology. So I met two IIT grads, one from IIT Kanpur, one from IIT Bombay. Both of them, one is working on irrigation and one is working on solar lighting and powering that for certain kind of crop. Because when you don't get sufficient light in certain areas, how you get the crop to be alive. So he's working on certain technologies for that, typically for commercial crops. So very interesting.
Regulations, targeting low strata, 3 long gestation periods as you mentioned. Even these 2-3 points, how do you still think, what would be a gestation period for some kind of investment translating the potential? Let's take an example. I think what you mentioned, the example which you put was pretty unique. When you remotely stationed from your jet.
It's done very well.
Just trigger your phone to switch it on and
It's done very well. It's done very large numbers. It depends on the product that you have. India is the uniqueness of the market, even if it does not pay enough, is that it gives you numbers. So focus on that.
And that's one of the reasons why, when we talk about trends, I think there's a lot to learn from the trends which are emerging in the West, and try and localize it and apply it here at a lower cost, at a lower and a higher volume. I think is a huge opportunity that we have here. Specifically, like you mentioned, logistics is the biggest challenge. US is far larger geographically, right? We still get anything delivered in 24 hours time from any part of the country to any part of the country. In India, Flipkart had to put in complete infrastructure of their own and to service how many cities? Still not entire India is not covered. Right? Do the same thing.
What are the upcoming technology hardware trends in oil and gas?
Well, oil and gas sensors are really huge. Ability for you to monitor food DNA, because if you're in high seas, then your cost of transporting people back and forth or health of people and their efficiency is extremely important. So food and food DNA is very important. Ability to do HSEQ health, safety, environment, quality. So a lot of sensor-based technologies are, again, very, very critical.
So in fact, again in last year, I met up with, I can't take names here, he's working on technology. He's just taking a regular fitness device that is available in the market today. He's building an application for that, for people who are in ICs. Because their health is much more susceptible to various problems, seasickness, stress, all of that. So all he's doing is developing an application which is going to take the data from these devices and go send it to these devices. Right? It's going to be kept sending it to the base station and monitoring the health of everyone in the ICs. So that you can do preventive health checkup, monitoring, whatever is required. I mean, today the cost of evacuation from ICs is very high. If someone falls sick and you want to come back out of the regular sortie, then a plane has to fly to pick you up. It's costly affair. So all he looked at was, how do we really predict that someone is going to be falling sick? Correct? Either get him to take some, preventive medication, or alert, so that whenever the next sortie coming in, he'll come back. You don't have to send a special plane just to get him, helicopter just to get him back to the base station. A simple use case, right? But it's a large problem, and a huge chunk of money goes in evacuation and all IC operations.
In hardware, the gestation period is typically longer, and before the hockey stick begins, there's a deep. And minimum viable product for a hardware would be what? A box that doesn't work. So, how much money to plow into figuring out the product market fit, and when to go for investors?
I'll give you an example. There's an accelerator which runs out of China. Okay. And you know what's the acceleration period for them? 4 months.
In hardware?
Yes, it's a hardware accelerator.
Yeah, I'll just give an example. I was thinking
4
of
months, you can start with a concept and you can come out with an idea, right? You of course have to have some hardware skills, they'll bring in their own expertise and skills, and everything is available, infrastructure is available, what you want, they'll make it available for you. 4 months acceleration period. As good as any other accelerator that you do for mobile accelerator.
Yeah.
What more can you have?
It's in China only, right? Not in India.
Right now they're in China. Yeah.
The opportunity exists because what we're talking about here today is really a solution, an application, which is driven by the hardware, facilitated by the hardware. So you're not talking about selling a stethoscope, you're talking about actually creating something that will do much more than that, right? So it's the iPhone approach in that sense, with hardware, software built in together. And the kind of hardware that we're talking about and the possibility that exists start from a few cents, an application of those few cents to going to many $1,000s. So its opportunity is humongous. Look at the manufacturing spaces, look at the other spaces we spoke about, and I completely agree that in 4 to 6 months you should be able to get this out of the garage and up and running.
Because today in hardware, you don't have to develop things from scratch. All you're doing is actually assembling things. Right? There's an Arduino controller is available for $20 today. Right? You add a $4 Wi-Fi chip, and then you have a fully working hardware prototype, whatever you want to build in, and you can control using an iPhone. So it's not really that hard today because things are available out of the box, out of the off the shelf. You just have to put them together. As far as you have a good use case, I think it's not too difficult.
some of these 3D printer projects, they have given all the details, documents of what hardware is entailed. I've been thinking of anyone working on 3D printers?
So when you say working on 3D printers, in what sense? I mean, are you talking about building 3D
Building
printers?
3D.
No point. Okay, don't build 3D printers here. Just think about the application of 3D printers that's much more lucrative than 3D printers themselves.
Do you want to build a printer which has different functionality, or do you want to build it because it'll save you cost in providing them?
So today I cannot buy a 3D printer in India. If I'm and these projects, they claim that all the details are there, you can build it by yourself. So if I can make it, then maybe I can teach others to make it or sell it, or maybe have a couple of printers running in my office and people can order something. They send a design and I print and I ship it back to them. Some model like that. So
If it's the last case, then more countryside, maybe it just makes more sense for you to buy them and do it. If you have some other idea around it, you want to do a feature development, a product development, by all means you should try it and do it if you're going to innovate on top of that.
Can you just review a case study, because you have many chain stores where you deploy new IT products. So what is their understanding, how it process the order, how they adopt the new technology products when you use such kind of
Only one thing, dollars.
okay.
If you have a case for anybody today, which helps them make or save, you will be. And very quick returns, very short, quick returns. Those are the cases that we try to nothing else.
Specifically in retail, yes. I mean, retail works with thin margins,
Yes.
high retail cost, high infrastructure cost, right? So anything which can save them money quickly, demonstrable, they quickly decide.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, they have gone out of past the phase of fancy jargons now.
Can you elaborate on power saving devices? I heard about a company called Emission PLC, London-based company in 2009. So, how successful it was in the industry?
I'm not aware of that company. In terms of power saving, you have the ability to work with sensors,
Okay, yeah.
capture data, and be able to program them to run in certain succession so that you can save power. So if you know the smart grid concept, the same thing can be applied to a small place. There are various things that you can do around it to save. I've done some little things at my weekend house to play around with things like that, and there's a lot of potential to do little things that will make sure that motors will start at the right time, start together, and they'll accelerate at different pace and all that.
We have a couple of members here who have companies, who have a company which is working in energy saving space. And actually, if you look at it, again, it's more about the software and application bit of that, because all the sensors and everything is commercially available today, and it's not too costly, right? So it's, again, as long as you understand what's the problem, where the opportunity to save it, it's possible to build a solution around that. This company we claim to save at least 40% of energy bill of any retail outlet, right? It's because you know two things. One, it can be driven by triggers based on the kind of volume which comes up. Second, based on analytics patterns of usage. So you can actually decide in advance when to switch on, when to switch off. Because you won't necessarily say, okay, when people come in, I switch on the AC, right? So you need to know in advance, based on the past data, as to what is the kind of traffic pattern, and then I switch on in advance, because knowing fully that 10:25 is when the crowd builds up, right? So I'll possibly switch on 5 minutes, 10 minutes prior to that. So it's a lot about software. The data you capture through sensors, but ultimately it's all about software.
So in In the West, you mentioned about smart grid. Is it like functional?
Sorry, smart grid?
Is
Oh,
it
yeah.
functional or?
Oh, yeah. Very. That's big deployments in across Western Europe, especially Northern Europe, US. The ability to ensure that not everybody turns on their washing load Saturday morning, and you give different timelines when you turn different loads on. Same house, same power. Was a comparison. There are grids that will actually let the water come down in hydro, pump it up at night because there's not enough people using it, and then let it come back down in the morning, so you're actually saving power that way. Lots of stuff.
Are there any practical numbers out, like how much savings is being achieved?
A lot.
So like,
A lot. I don't have any data in front with me right now, but it's a significant amount of data out there on what's happening in the smart grid space, because it starts with home, communities, cities, the whole utility companies. Lots happening in that area.
Like Europe has taken a lead in smart grid.
Yes.
Over a period of 3 years.
Example, when you have buyers of IT products, and you deploy the solution to the customer. So, example, someone will launch a new IT product, and it is first starts to create the customer awareness to media or something, and then for first we need to go to the channel partners, like IT channel distributors, and demonstrate the product.
Well, to start off with, I think going with the channel partner will be a better idea. It's
But it is like example, I come up with a new product, and you will also evaluate the product. Is there such kind of product available in the market, or what do you think? If your customer demanded, example, if we start the first media coverage or something, and if your customer demanded such products available, can you
also true.
So what is your what focus when something launch a new product in Indian market, IT product? So what is your focus first on media coverage or something, to to different way, either on social media or print media, and create the awareness, so you understand there's something new technology which customer never.
function of the size of your market, the TG, what's the target group like? Is it enterprise? Is it consumer? What is the price point of your product? Depends on much of that. Perhaps a generic answer would be to look at a combination of.
But I think, if you have anything specific in mind, you can discuss offline, and we can put you on to experts who can actually guide you on this. Because, go to market is a completely different subject, and there is no generic answer to go to market question. For everything you are a different strategy.
When I started business before 10 years back, when I launched something, so every product is their life. When I distribute something, make a product in a final quantity, then time is over. Then computer has been operated, and then it's still so. Then I have to go on a garbage those products. But if we don't have something, so.
Kanchan, question to you. One of the entry barriers you would see in the hardware space would be having the right kind of skills to do this, right? Or am I kind of, you just talking about Arduino controller or something like that, right? I just wanted to understand, has it become so easy that somebody can pick up a intense manual and like HTML coding, at that level you can actually go and develop hardware and integrate it? Because I understand modules are available, but integration is still a big piece.
Yes, not so much in India, unfortunately, but you'll be surprised. In US, you have kids in high school, they pick up controllers. And today, you can actually write whatever language. Raspberry Pi is the most popular one. And you can develop a lot of applications for kids who are actually showing stuff. Kids, high school kids. So it's that easy to pick up. It's not available here because there is not much of a demand. If there were demand, you would have people but you can actually get that. It's not such a big deal. You can order it and you'll get it at work.
There are schools where they teach robotics. It's quite easy. They teach Python to 8 and 9-year-old kids, and they're really to good stuff.
And there are a few companies in India which are actually doing it. They teach robotics to kids, those companies. And they can help you actually get some of those things.
There's an Indian version of Lego also, so
yeah, absolutely.
gives a very good hand of how to program a robot.
So some of those things are, I mean, it's not as commonly available that you can walk into any shop and buy that as it is there, but it's still available. And typically they come with, you know, all the kit, and of course you have it available on the net.
You could order it from eBay or something.
Yeah, I understand that. Like, you know, I understand that feel, but there is still, like, you know, so I've been coding all my life, so I'm pretty comfortable with coding any language. But the thing that flips me is the hardware chips. You know, when you start talking about VLSI and you start talking about FPGA and stuff like that, I'm like, dude, I don't know this stuff. This is electronics. This is
which is where, you know, Arduino has actually made a huge difference, because it brought the cost down to a great degree. I mean, today you
so it's like a bread chip. It's like a bread.
Arduino
bread
is not
board.
an FPGA. It's a microcontroller.
It's a
program in
microcontroller.
C and stuff. We don't do at the assembly of hardware.
Yeah, this is a microcontroller.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a microcontroller, and now there are 32-bit Arduino which has come out as well,
Okay.
which is extremely powerful. 32-bit is. We do a lot of things in that.
So it's like a board where you can put chips, or like, you know, what is it?
I think it's a standard with
It's
microcontrollers,
a standard.
USB ports, and
Absolutely.
common VGA ports and stuff.
Something called Raspberry.
It's an
That's
embedded
very
system.
high,
Usually you sell to, I have it to many enterprise, so you sell as a solution, you sell as a hardware. So you can get a
solution.
So you can get a MC also. If we sell something on a hardware, then only warranty comes. We cannot get the MC. So when we sell as a solution,
Yes.
we can get a
Yeah.
MC contract even from.
Sure, yes.
So, just to give you, so eBay India has got 4 of Arduino kits available from $1,000 onwards.
Okay.
1,000 rupees.
1,000 rupees.
It's Arduino.
eBay India, we can buy it.
ARDUI, open source hardware.
It's open source hardware. 1,000 rupee onwards, you got kits available. 1,600, 1,200 kits are available.
Okay.
Price parity, $20 there, 1,000 rupees here. What more can you want?
Right.
Right.
Here we are talking about robotics and all that. Actually in China, last month, they have launched a restaurant where all the staff making is a robot, the person bringing is a robot,
I heard
and
about
it
it.
is in China. Actually, we are talking about this, but there is China actually. But they are doing that. He has put up a hotel, and now he is going to franchise that. And all things are ordered by, wholly operated by robots.
So there is
He
a
cooks the food also, whatever.
yeah. So there is a gentleman somewhere in Europe, I don't know where. So they have developed a robot which can do farming for you. Yes,
Perfect application for India.
it can do farming for you.
Needed in the Indian market.
I'm not sure whether it's needed or not, but yes, somewhere.
Sounds like this China hotel is really not needed in China. It's needed more like in Europe. I don't know. In India, I would have a.
Things are going to change that way because now small salaries are working out more here than what you thought. It's up to us to develop that rather than thinking about small things and all.
Any other questions? Thanks a lot.
I have one with the access control. I think that's a pretty big upcoming sort of field where things like locks you mentioned with cars, but even now with houses where you connect it with your phone. There's Lockitron, YubiKey. Any thoughts on how that's relevant to the Indian market, or how we could bring it in, or how it would work?
Well, there's both B2B and B2C, both the applications. At the B2B level, you have very high traffic areas in this country, especially with access and security with what's happening. Big opportunity there in terms of connecting them to turnstile, boom barriers, etc., doing connecting them to face recognition, connecting them to other ways to enable them. And at the B2C level, I think the price point is still maybe a bit early in India to get into, that's my view. At the hospitality and commercial complexes, new high-end residential complexes, those are good opportunities.
Right.
So I'd certainly explore it.
One last question. We are going to launch next week, next month, new one products. I want to get a feedback from you whether it's a good, value for Indian market. The cost of this product will be around 70,000 rupees. It will be a video door phone, IP phone, where with the infrared and fingerprint. The cost will be connected to the Wi-Fi or PoE. So whether it is good product will be in market, cost will be around 75,000 rupees. So what do you think about this product? So whether Indian consumer is acceptable this? How do you see the?
Well, I'd like to see a little more. I'm happy to look at it. I'm sure Kanchan also has some ideas on that.
I can start with connection. We can take this further. And I also know a lot of other people in this domain who can give you, who have worked in this domain for a long, long time.
I think they might be better suited to.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming. And thank you.